Hi guys, this is Kristen from Massively Tiny Stitches, coming to you again with another Stitch with Me. I'm stitching this evening instead of in the morning like usual, which means I'm probably going to have my dogs at the door asking to come in and do all that jazz, because they're actually awake right now. But that's alright. I'll be able to make it work. I'm hoping, I don't think I have enough time tonight. Maybe I'll stitch another one the next time, or I'll film the next time that I stitch as well, because I'm close, super close to finishing out this bunny here. I finished out this moth this weekend, so that was a new addition for me, and everything over here is pretty much done. I filled in all of the ninjas that go into these little puff balls, as I'm gonna call them. And the page ends like right here, so I'm very close to getting a full page finish here as well. Not that, I mean, clearly I work cross country, so I don't necessarily follow pages as it is, but milestones are still fun to get, even if it's not something that I do as linearly as maybe some of you guys do. So I'm gonna rotate you guys a little bit. There we go. Why is everything not working for me today? This is what happens when I film after a long work day. I think I got to work at about 6 and left at 5:30, so it was a very long and tedious day. It was a day that I was working on writing reports more than anything, although I did have 2 intake sessions, which always are more labor intensive, I guess is probably the best description. Writing down everyone's history, trying to not miss out on details that may or may not become important later. Always hard to do. As you might be able to tell, I also have a whole bunch of, these are technically waist threads, but I try to like put them in the same hole often, so that when I go through I can just cut from one specific spot, and that I know that everything that's in there in that specific spot is something that I don't need to keep. So that is also a thing. Work a lot of hours so far this week already. I know it's only Tuesday, but I mean, I guess by the time you guys see this, it'll probably be Wednesday, but I think I've already worked a good 30 hours, so I'm tired. I want to sleep. I am one of those psychologists that works crazy amounts of hours, though. By choice. Certainly I could cut back and, you know, cut corners in places to get reports shorter and things like that, but I want to give the patients that I see, or the patients that I have, the most information that I can. So that means doing longer reports and really trying to explain as thoroughly as possible what it is that's happening for them. Just means that it takes me a little bit longer than what insurance says I should do. And that also means that it's a choice I'm making, because the business side of it can't sustain that kind of financials. Neuropsych testing already from insurance companies doesn't pay out very well. It's fairly expensive in terms of resources that go into it. And insurance doesn't reimburse very well. They put very strong limits on how much you can get reimbursed for it, all that jazz. So, at the end of the day, I do that extra work kind of from my own perspective, or my own, I describe it to my students as it becomes your own edification at that point, right? Of making sure that they get what they need out of it. Builds a reputation for your practice, which is always nice, but just making sure that everyone's needs are met. There's the dog wanting to come in. It's funny knowing that I wanted to film finishing the bunny with you guys. I have been working in the dreaded section, which is all of this like light colored area. Let me tell you, that has not been fun. But it has to be done at some point. Just got my reminder on my phone that I need to make sure I do my stitching for the day, which it says 135 stitches. I apparently fell off of the bandwagon at some point because I need to do like close to 200 nowadays in order to make sure I get done on time. So clearly I worked on other projects too much. But no, that was a good decision to do because I at one point was getting very burned out on this one. I know I could just throw this thread away, but I'm trying to get the most out of it. I'm that person. I play thread chicken every second of every day, as much as I can. It's funny, I was thinking about this the other day, because I have a master set of DMC, which is great. I love it. But I was thinking about how, like, I've seen people that buy, like, 3 or 4 of every color and have like backup set on backup set. And I cannot, and I put a full skein on each of my bobbins when I start. And like I have a couple that are on their last dregs. Like this one is getting very close to the end of it. But this is, I think, probably the closest. I guess my 815 is actually the one that's the closest, but, or 814. It's a dark maroon color, which, like this color here. But like those are the only ones that I've done, and I've literally had this set for, I don't know, maybe almost 2 years at this point. So I think about the people who, like, I have a cone of black. I think I've taken like 4, maybe 5, like, long lengths to wrap around a bobbin on that. I don't know that I'll ever finish that thing. And yet some people are just so prolific, I guess is probably the best word, that they actually go through that much thread and they actually need that much. I had bought a set of CXC threads, and then I bought a set for my friend, and I'm helping her organize them. But it was funny. I was like, it's a good deal, and I guess I'll need them eventually, but like, I don't know when I'll need them. They're just kind of sitting there. So I'm not even bothering to take them out of their package until I need a color from it. Because, like I said, maybe it's because I stitch on small projects, but I really don't go through thread that fast. One strand on small stitches means don't need to use that much. Hello. You are going to work for me today. You're embarrassing me, Thread. I'm just kidding. Is being quite persistent today. Usually she is not the one that needs to hang out with me all the time. So that means she probably just wants to hang out in the bed next to me. I do have a dog bed in my office where I stitch. At least I stitch with you guys. Although most of the time I'm stitching on the couch, where they get to cuddle up with me all the time, which is, I think, why they're a bit jealous right now, is that they didn't get their after work cuddles. I grabbed some food, and then I knew I needed to stitch because I'm going to be heading to bed fairly early today. It's 8 o'clock. I swear I'm an old lady. I'm not. I'm only in my 30s, but man, oh man, I love to go to bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So, but I do need my 200 stitches. Luckily, I did have some that I did this morning. I went to work a little bit early and made sure I carved out an hour before my scheduled start time. But I sometimes like driving in early so that I don't have to go through rush hour traffic. My official workday starts at 10, which means I either have to wait until the very tail end of rush hour, or I like to go in early. Which early usually works better for me. That way I can get some work done before my students show up. get my brain screwed on right. So today that was at 6. That was excessive though. Usually I don't like going that early, but I knew I was gonna stitch. I knew I was gonna get some stuff done. Sometimes writing with other people around is just very hard to do. You have to be kind of in the right flow state. It's funny, anytime I film right now, I have this song from Dear Evan Hansen that goes through my head. I don't know if anyone is like a theater buff, but it's called Waving Through the Window, but it's essentially like, is anybody out there? Does anyone see me? Kind of parts of it, and it's just kind of, it's funny. Certainly I know where I see my metrics. Oh, it says I'm frogging, but it doesn't also say that they're there. Let's move my screen. Okay. But just, it's a funny part of right now. And certainly I know it's a current phase of streaming and that people will come, people will go. At the end of the day, I don't know that it's really about that for me though, of having followers or, you know, having, I want the community, yes, but a lot of this is really for my own remembering of what's happening. I'm missing a color. How did I already lose a color? Oh, because that one, what did I do? Oh, that one's in the wrong spot. Okay, I see what's happening. I have just enough bobbins for, what am I trying to say? I have them all in numerical order for the colors that I have left. But there was a gap of 2 of them, but I forgot that I made that because I have my Ort container sitting in there, which makes it so I can't put a spool on one of the spots. Anyway, but yes, Waving Through a Window is the song that goes through my head quite consistently whenever I'm streaming. And that this YouTube channel is for me to see what I've done. I'm someone who very much gets, what's the way I want to say this? I get discouraged, I guess is probably the best way, and certainly it's not a comparison game all of the time, but that I see people who are able to stitch a lot more. A lot of it is because of time. That I just simply don't have the time to be able to put in the number of hours that of a lot of streamers that do online. And the other part of it is that because I stitch cross country, you lose track of progress, right? That it's not as clear of like, this section is done today. I think that's why this weekend, having gotten the moth done, I was like, oh yeah, I actually got a good chunk done, because it was actually concentrated in an area enough that I felt, I guess, successful. But that's where the channel comes in, is that it can show me of like, oh, this is how far I've gotten in a month. And yes, you can do that to some extent through photos, but I don't think photos ever really capture what it's like. I can't tell you the number of times I've taken pictures and then I looked back at it and been like, I have no clue what I was doing or where I was working. It looks exactly the same. And then other times I'm like, how is this only 10%, right? Or I think the biggest jump that I think it was 10% of going from 40 to 50%. It just looked so dramatic. But a big part of it was that I spread out here to try and find this corner. So then there was like scattered stitches throughout the entire thing that made it look like it made a lot of progress. But now since then, because there was already some foundation in those spots, that it doesn't feel as progressive, I guess. I don't know. That's weird. It's the weird parts of stitching the way I do. Yogi, the slow stitcher, was talking about it today, of like the difference between stitching on big, low count, high, like larger stitches versus smaller stitches like I do. And I mean, it's very true that there are days when I will look at it and I'm like, oh, I only did like a 1/2 inch squared if I'm lucky, or a centimeter by a centimeter kind of version of it. And that was what I did all day, and somehow it doesn't feel accomplished in that way. You don't feel like you got anywhere. Like if you did that same number of stitches on like a 14 count, you'd be you'd be a square inch or almost 2, depending on what you're doing. So 4 times as much space. One of the things that I've been thinking about, certainly with this channel, it's new, that there's a lot of space to grow in a lot of different ways. But one of the things that I very much believe in, and I believe in this kind of throughout almost anything that I do, is giving back to the people that gave to you, whether they knew it or not. So like for me, like in my professional career, that's why I work with LGBTQ families, is that like giving back to the community and giving back to people like me, because it's just an important value for me, is giving back. And so I've been thinking about that in the context of this YouTube channel and what that could look like, or what I want that to look like. And I'm thinking about doing series, I guess is the best description for it, that I'm in my head calling the Stitchers that raised us, but is essentially that, like, I'd be making those small pendants, the 56 count little pendants, into needle minders, and then passing those along to people who have been influential stitchers, not only for me but also for my followers, if and when that happens, that they can also nominate people that are like, hey, this person was really influential in my stitching life, and that I'd be able to get that message out to them as a thank you, to be able to say that, like, we see you and we really appreciate what you've done, whether they're on FlossTube, right, and have their own videos, or if it's like my friend who she stitches. I mean, I got her into stitching, but you know, she stitches in such a different way that she's so inspiring to me. And she really broadens what my perceptions are of what cross stitch is. Like, people make joke with Kamari about her, like, backs from when she did stitching and kind of didn't care about what they look like. And it's funny because I would say she's like 40 million times worse in terms of that, because she just jumps around, she doesn't care, kind of parts of it, and my backs aren't pretty by any means, because we're doing full coverage stitching, but there is like a limit to it, right? And I try not to have a messy, like a truly, like, I guess, naughty back, or like a bulky parts of it, that I like to be able to still see the fabric through the back. And my friend really doesn't, and it's so fun to watch her doing it. There are times when she completely aggravates me. I have two friends that stitch in my friend group, and when we play Dungeons and Dragons on Sundays, that is something that the three of us are doing to kind of help us focus as the day's progressing. But she hates using scissors. She just believes in ripping the thread at the end, and I'm like, oh gosh, that's sacrilegious. Like, just grab a pair of scissors. The number of times that we've cringed at that happening, or like that all of her threads, no matter what she does, ends up in a giant pile of I guess a wad of all the different colors, and she's like, this is close enough to what I want, and just kind of picks a random color, whether that's like what the quote-unquote pattern says or if it's not. And so she really does have like this freedom about her when it comes to her stitching process, and it's very admirable to me. So the pendant that I'm working on right now, that's who that's for, is for her as a person who inspires me. Her stitching inspires me. And so I have a second person that I know I want to do this to, and I talked to them yesterday about what they would want as their design, and they agreed to taking one of these at the end of the day. I think hers is going to stay as a pendant version of it, although I can ask her if she wants it as a like needle minder option. I have to figure out how to take the top loop off of the pendant trays that I have, but to be able to make it a simple needle minder. But I think that's what I want to do for most of them, is to make it a needle minder. I think that's more universal. I don't know that everyone wants to wear jewelry, And then that means that I have to make sure that I have the, I don't know, appropriate design to fit their clothing aesthetic, not just their stitchiness, which I'm, trying to figure out how would I decide what to do for each of them and what that looks like. So I have a few different ones that I know I'm going to be doing. Oh, I just lost where I am completely. Where am I? That's where I am. Okay. I do have a few people that I know that I want to make them for. Whether they would accept them or not, I don't know. But I also want to, I don't know. I kind of want to stitch them first and then just be like, hey, this is already done. Is there a place where I could send it, right? Or are you interested in it kind of portion? And this is what it's all about. But really trying to have a thank you and put together, like almost only release the video for it after I know that they'll have gotten the package and been able to see it first. And the thank you letter or the thank you note that goes with it of what that looks like. And that would just be kind of a short on YouTube. Is like the why they were nominated, either from my words or from the person who nominated them, right? And that I'm just being their mouthpiece. So certainly if there are people that you have been influential for you in your stitching growth, your stitching progress, I'd love to hear who those people are. Selfishly, it's also a way for me to get to learn about new people and hear stories, right? Like that's a big part of why I'm a psychologist at the end of the day, is to hear stories and live through everyone else's experiences. The good, the bad, and the ugly, right? That's what life is to me, is to experience fully. And one way to do that is through stories. And that's why I think about it as being like a historical endeavor, right? For me to get to know these people, these influential stitchers in people's lives, whether it's, Mima who taught me, right? And what's something that would remind you of Mima or that we could send to Mima. And certainly the idea is to send it to the person who influenced them, to give them a thank you, right? So if it's Mima who passed away, like maybe that's not a good option, even though yes, they are influential, but really trying to say thank you. And again, give back to the community, right? And I think about this in terms of like, yes, there are I watch a lot of FlossTube. There is a lot of content that I watch all of the time. But there are certainly like hundreds, thousands of FlossTubers that I simply don't watch because they aren't my aesthetic or my style, right? They aren't full coverage stitchers, or they don't do more modern pieces. They do more historical samplers. They do more kit versions of things or stuff like that, right? Like there's just a lot of FlossTube content out there that I'm not into. And not that it's not good, but that it's not my style. That being said, I do watch a lot of FlossTube that isn't my style, which is funny. It's just like, I know I would never stitch that, but man, it's impressive. I feel that way about like the fancy ladies a lot. I much prefer like full coverage fancy ladies than like Mirabilias or Nora Corbett's or any of that sort of stuff, but they are still fun to look at, right? And all of the beading and the jewels and all of that stuff. I'm pretty sure. I haven't kind of shown her this rabbit hole yet, but I am fairly certain that that would be one that my friend, her name is Kat, the one who I'm making that pendant for, but that she would be really actually interested in them, because it's not just making X's, right? It is creative. You are adding beads, and she literally just finished today a stamped kit that had some beads in it, or she decided to add some beads to it, and I was like, oh, so you're getting into beaded cross stitch now, right? So it's just a matter of time before she learns what this is, but I kind of want to let her discover it on her own. The fancy lady world. If you guys have any good, like, she really likes Barbara Anna, but that, like, style of, like, big block stitching to be able to get designs, and very whimsical. So if you know people that are in that vein, I'd love to have some names to pull out. Whether I tell her about them or not is another question, because I might just keep them for myself so I can get her gifts, but if you know of people, that'd be helpful. But yes, I think I want to do that as a giving back as a portion of this, right? And I don't expect any compensation in any way, right? Like, if I happen to get enough people that I monetize, then cool, that'd be great, that'd be helpful to be able to fund it. But at the end of the day, like, our hobby is not that expensive to produce from a physical side of it, at least not at that scale, not at that size. But certainly it's more of a labor of love, which is all about what I'm for. I'm definitely not going to make it through to the rest of these for today, so I'm going to grab a couple more before I end. Come on. I don't know if anyone else has this problem with smartphones. I always am doing something split screen on my cell phone, which is where I have Pattern Keeper. So Pattern Keeper and YouTube usually are the two that I'm splitting. But when you have the screen split, at least when I do it, it always puts the, like, do you want to switch screens, or switch what side of screens it is, or do you want to minimize one of them? That, like, control panel is right where the move button is in Pattern Keeper. And let me tell you, it makes it so annoying, because then I'm, like, clicking on it also, like, overlaps with the, what's the word I want? The settings button in Pattern Keeper. And so, like, the three buttons are all in the same spot. Like, it could have chosen something else to do this, but I guess that's my fault for how I have my phone set up at the end of the day. But yeah, no. Come on, you can thread. Okay. That was not liking me. like I said, if you have people that have inspired you, I would love to pay it forward. I have one that I'm going to be doing next as my first option. But then after that, and bonus points to you if you have an idea about what sort of stitching is something that feels like them. All right, to be able to, again, make it useful. Right? I'd rather them enjoy their present, not just, oh, that's great, let me put it in the closet. Right? But something that's their aesthetic. Certainly if it's a floss tuber, that's easier for me to figure out if I don't know them, right? Like figuring out maybe some projects that they've worked on or things like that, that maybe I'm even drawn to of theirs. But if it's, you know, if it's the cats of your world, like my friend, where it's like, oh, this is a subject that she really likes, or that I think would fit her really well. That's how we came up with the pendant that I'm working on for her right now. It just felt like something that she would like. Granted, she helped design her own pattern for this one, so I got a little bit of a leg up, but you guys can reach me in a few different places if you want to make a nomination. I'm almost thinking about making a Google form, but that seems like too much work. Of either just leaving a comment below and I'll reach out to you through like a YouTube. I don't know if does YouTube have a messenger, but I'll reply to you and like ask for you to DM me or something. Or if you just send a DM to my Instagram account or email me, I'll make sure that all of those ways of getting a hold of me are available to you, with who it is, right? And why is it that that person's been influential for you, right? Like I said, I want it to be, I don't necessarily need it to be my story. I'd rather it be the community's story, right? Like, how do we tell this story as a bigger part of how that person's influenced them? There are a lot of people. There have been a lot of people. I know I talked about a few of them in my first video. But there have been a lot of stitchers that I have watched through the years at this point that I think about on a day-to-day basis, right? And it's weird because they're people that I've never actually met, right? And some of them I've talked to directly, right? Like I'm in the Slow Stitch Yogi group, and I literally talk to her, right? It's virtually through live chats, but I'm talking to them, or I'm talking to Kamari through that, and all the ladies that are a part of that group. So I'm doing that on a day-to-day basis. So I feel like I know them better, but then there are others that I'm like, I don't think I've ever once talked to, or heck, I don't even know that I've interacted as like a comment on some of these people, but yet I think about them a lot. I think one of the biggest examples of that is stitching masterpieces. I don't know that I've touched like a single, I don't even, heck, probably even a like button, right? Like I know I'm subscribed, but it's just one of those ones where like I'm mesmerized by it so much in the middle that like I don't think to respond. Just terrible to do, right? Because I know that's a part of how YouTube gets its metrics, and the algorithms work. but it's, you know, she's one of those people that I think about in terms of her progress and idealize in some ways of like, you know, when I grow up, that's who I want to be, right? Or I want to be able to do that. And there are a lot of those people. And one of the other ones that I think about a lot is, I'm trying to think of what her YouTube name is. I want to say it's like Creativity with Gidge, something like that. But she doesn't post very often anymore. But her, like, the first videos that I saw where she was signing as she was doing a whip parade, and I was like, oh dude, that's cool, and that like makes this that much more accessible, you know, to the community and all of that sort of side of it. And she hasn't done that as much in her more recent videos, but I'm sure she still could, and that's still like, it's still cool, it's still different, it's still something that's inspirational. So I very much, you know, think about that. And it's always funny when kind of those people post a video. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to talk to that friend, right? Like, that's the friend I want to talk to today. Not every friend's for every day, but most friends, I'm like, ah, they'd be fun to talk to. There were also people that I, you know, watched at the very beginning, as I was just like discovering FlossTube, and I didn't know that this world existed. And I, you know, I think about their voices and like, you know, that comforting mom or comforting grandma, you know, showing me the thing that they're interested in. There's something so beautifully poetic about someone who is in love with what they do, that they, you know, they can't not be excited about to talk about it. And there is something so endearing. It doesn't matter the subject. Like, it's fun when it's a subject that you know something about, but like, heck, you know, I am the epitome of like a hobby shopper, I guess, in that sense of like, oh, like, I saw a video of this person who's super interested in puzzles, and now I'm just gonna watch all of these puzzle videos, not because I love doing puzzles, though puzzles are fun. Uh-oh, I'm stuck.